Anyone who knows me knows that family means everything to me, and without them, I wouldn't be here. I'm joined today by my loving parents, Karen and Dan, who instilled in me a strong moral compass that has always been my guide. My colleagues can blame them for my forthright manner, because they taught me from a young age that you have a responsibility to communicate your view clearly, no matter how difficult and no matter the cost, and that above all else, you must be true to yourself. I met my husband Jon 24 years ago at university, and I am so glad that we are on life's journey together. I have relied on his advice, his reservoir of love and understanding, his truth-telling, his great intellect, and his selfless devotion to our family. Jon works part-time and is the primary caregiver in our family, ferrying children to childcare, kinder and all manner of other things. He twice took extended paternity leave so that I could serve in Cabinet and Parliament and breastfeed our children. Whilst Jon trained as an engineer and a lawyer, I think he now sees his core competency as logistics. He is, quite simply, a great man, wonderful husband, brilliant father, and I just love him to bits. There is no doubt, though, that our greatest achievement in life are our two beautiful, happy, confident and loving children, Olivia and Edward. Livy and Edward, you make my heart sing, and I love you more than words can express. There is nothing that gives me greater joy than being your mum. As a feminist, I have always believed that girls and women deserve an equal stake in our society and our economy. We want women to make choices that are right for them and right for their families. In essence, it means helping women to build their financial security. It also means giving men more flexibility in work to take on caring responsibilities. Men love their children and want to be part of their lives, and children love their fathers. Yet the number of men who work part-time remains well below that of women, and I call this the flexibility gap. An issue that resonated strongly with me and my electorate was same-sex marriage. One of the most nerve-wracking days that I had as a new MP was the day that I walked into the Federation Chamber to announce my support for same-sex marriage. Many warned me it was a career-limiting move, and maybe it was at the time, but I believe it was the right thing to do, and I am proud that it will be a legacy of a Liberal government to have legislated same-sex marriage. This brings me to the fourth and final issue, the quality of our democracy itself. My time in this place has coincided with a deterioration of trust in both this institution and indeed the very concept of democracy. Social media and a proliferation of tribal echo chambers have led to warped perceptions of Australians' views, a failure to listen to alternative ideas and a decline in genuine policy debate and civil discourse. Time spent in the community is the best antidote. However, technology has accelerated our lives and our expectations. Complex policy issues in an increasingly complex world don't usually have an easy answer. The default response here should not be to immediately outsource decision-making to unelected people. And sometimes parliamentarians need to prosecute the case for patience and a deeper conversation with their electorates. Equally concerning is the transformation of the Senate. It is now neither a house of review nor a house to protect the state's interests. Rather, it has become a forum to frustrate the government's agenda and the will of the people. This has contributed to undermining faith in our democracy and its institutions and long-term policy outcomes for our country. As my final observation in this place, I think that elected governments should be able to implement their mandates. I support the proposition endorsed by the Senate President for major parties to consider implementing an Australian version of the Salisbury Convention. This would mean parties agreeing to abide by a convention that the Senate won't obstruct the passage of legislation to affect government policy which has been fully and fairly disclosed to the Australian people well before voting commences in an election. I thank the House for its indulgence.